Hey guys, this is Dustin with the Dustin LeBleu CEO Podcast, and I'm joined as always by my man,
Austin.
I'm going to go ahead and do this for you.
Okay, introduce me.
My main man, Austin Ray.
There we go. What is going on, guys? That was a fancy intro.
That was fancy, yeah.
Do you think
this is not going to be a fancy podcast?
No, actually, guys, this podcast is more about the recesses of your mind that are dark. Now, I don't want to preface the podcast by saying that, but I'm going to. Don't be dissuaded by it, and definitely stay tuned for the rest of the podcast, because this is something I feel like a lot of people don't want to talk about, but will be able to heavily relate to. And a lot of the times you can't put it in the words.
And actually, like, we had a different podcast, and me and you were just having a conversation, and you're like, dude, I'm slamming this down. Let's do this podcast. This is some interesting stuff. Let's go.
100%. So we already had we had two different ideas for today. So we had a different idea.
True.
We met up this morning, had our morning workout. Like right off the bat, I knew I was like, okay, vibes are a little bit different this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we talked a little bit while we were working out. We decided to go with the second podcast, but then we got all the way here and I was like, no, we're going to talk about everything that's happened. I feel like this is definitely good for people to hear. So, guys, basically let's title it this way. So let's just call it Dark Place to the Light of Positivity.
Okay.
So every entrepreneur, every business person, even a family man, family woman, whatever you are, anytime in your life, or I don't want to say anytime, at some point in your life, you're going to experience that dark place, that dark recess of your mind, where there's been so much negativity within your day that you basically shell up to it. You go back to that part of your mind that is, it's fortified, it's a dark place, and you go there to try and stay away from the outward, negativity that comes in from your day. And that spot in itself is dark as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're here to talk about today, Dustin, is how you take that place in your mind, that hole, but you stay there for a limited amount of time and turn it into positivity, and the work that comes from it ends up being dramatically better than even the positive moments.
Yeah, so we always preach about positivity and things like that, and I think that's huge, and that's something I always practice on myself, and I try to do that as much as possible. But at the end of the day, sometimes, like if you guys have watched the first podcast or listened to the first podcast, my upbringing, those things. So I will go to a dark place. Now the difference is, what do you do in that dark? Do you stay there, or do you come out of it? What I find is, most people that know me, they know I'm a pretty creative person. Like, I come up with some different ideas that are, they're very unique and sometimes strange, right?
Yeah, man.
So a lot of times, and I told you this, just a minute ago, is like yesterday I was having a bad moment. So I kind of went into this dark place for usually I'd say between 4 and 5 hours.
Yeah. And
I don't stay there forever, but when I do, I almost get in this kind of flow state, and these just ideas just come from nowhere. So I just start jotting them down, and I just go to work on them. I take action on those ideas, knowing that I'm not going to stay in this place forever. But when I'm in it, it's like nothing surrounds me. I'm almost numb to everything around me, basically. Yeah. I'm just there. Nothing's around me, and except this flow state.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, for me to understand it, the way I look at it, coming from your perspective and the way you describe it is you kind of go into that middleman state, that kind of, I don't want to use the word purgatory, because I don't really know if that's the word for it, but you kind of go into that that ghost zone where you're in between, the reality of everything going on around you, but then you're also in the back side of your mind, trying to, stay out of the negativity, but you're in between. You've got the darkness, but then you've got the light. But what you're doing is you're channeling both. And what you're doing is you're zoning out to bring ideas in.
I think it's more of, it's almost subconscious, I think. It's it's just happening. It's happening without really thinking about it.
I literally just used every description for subconscious and didn't use the word itself.
Yeah, so it's almost like a subconscious type thing, but then consciously I can't stay here for a long time because this isn't good for my family. This isn't good for anything. However, what I try to do is when that happens, I try to go in this place and use it for business.
Yeah. So
and I know it's going to sound weird to a lot of people, but we're just going to speak truth on this.
Yeah. So I mean, people have zoned out before, and just know that we're talking about that zoned out moment. So when you do zone out, man, the whole thing is like you're bringing ideas in. You are using these few hours of do you want to call it personal time or not necessarily personal because there's still people around you, but it's like mental time. It's like a mental workout almost because you're using it to flex in new ideas.
It's not even really that, man. It just happens kind of. It's really not, like I said, it's kind of subconscious in a way. It's not, I'm not really thinking logically what I'm doing. It's just kind of happening. It probably doesn't make sense to you, but
no, it works out.
I know other people that are similar to this. And I think let's not use the word entrepreneur because, there's a lot of different styles of entrepreneur, right? Yeah. I think more of a creative probably is what, and like the title of our show is CEO, the C means creative. So it's like, that's one of those things that I've always kind of done well. It's like one of my best attributes, but sometimes it's a bad attribute,
Yeah. Okay. So, like you said, sometimes it can be bad. So this is where you need to know the boundaries of how long you can stay in this state, know the time limits essentially. Mm-hmm. So for you said what, 4 to 5 hours?
Sometimes, and it could be longer, but, and like I said, it's subconscious in a way, but it's like you don't want to stay there because a lot of bad things can happen. And sometimes when I get out of this state and I jot a bunch of stuff down and I go look at it, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, it doesn't even seem like I would write some of this stuff, right? So even like some of the products or some of the stuff I've done, it's not me normally. And it's going to sound like some kind of multi-personality disorder. It's not, but it's just like a flow state, I guess. It's like you kind of see that edge of darkness and put a bunch of stuff out there that sounds awesome, at the time, but then you look back at it and you're like, what the hell is this stuff? Yeah, but then it goes crazy because I think a lot of people, they go to that dark place, but the problem is they stay in that dark place. Yeah. And they don't get out of it and they don't use it to their advantage in a way.
Yeah. And actually, man, I mean, what you sent us over yesterday, I know for one brand, I saw 2 new products just for one brand. And, I don't know what else you've got wrote down or what else you came up with, but I mean, like, that's 2 products that when you sent it over to me, I was like, damn, these are going to kill it. I was like, these completely make sense. But then, it's just like in any other time, how would you have thought about those?
I wouldn't have thought of those actually, because like I said, I just told you before we got out, before we got on the air, it's like, I looked at those and I'm like, man, what is this? But in that state, it's like, man, this is going to be good. Now, I don't even think about it. Just go. And it's kind of the point of diving off the cliff and not thinking about it, and then hey, if something happens, it happens.
Yeah. So the way you do it is, like in this time, in this boundary of knowing how long you should stay here. Really, what you're doing is you're pitting this negativity against yourself temporarily to pull the ideas out, unlike any other. I mean, and the way I say that, the reason I say pit this against yourself is because that's kind of what you're doing. I mean, you're pitting the negativity in this aura against yourself, but in a positive light.
Yeah, it's like if you stay there too long, that's what happens. That's when depression comes into play, and I think that's what a lot of people do. They get to this negative part, and they don't use it to their advantage, or they get to this darkness, let's say, and they don't use it to their advantage. So the key is to like kind of come out. It's almost like you don't consciously go into it, but you do in a way. It's really hard to explain, to be honest with you, but you go there, you come out, you're good to go. You keep that positive mindset and move forward with everyday life. And that's why I like to isolate myself. I don't want to put this on a bunch of people. So I'll try to isolate myself. I don't know I'm going there, write stuff down, do productive things. And usually it turns out really well because like me and you were talking about, just some of the ideas are so almost in a way bizarre that they're great.
Yeah, and like you said, man, they're great. I know for a fact, like one of those products that you sent me over, like I was happy about it because I think, what was it, like last week or whatever? Mm-hmm. I'd mentioned something, about something similar to one of those, and we kind of talked about the general basis of it, and then here you come, dude, full force next week, and I'm like, damn, like that's crazy, and it was better than what we had talked about. So it's just like
I think it was much better.
You like took it and made it even better, which was insane.
Well, if you look at it too, if you look at a lot of the stuff that we do, and it's most people know what brands were behind, but if you look at all the brands that were behind, almost every one of them has some little bit of darkness to it.
Yeah,
we've done horror movies, and the one we have coming out, the Millbrook Summoning, is like you would think, why would this guy write something like this? But that's because I was in a dark place at that time. So that's where it came from.
And, think about it, man. The brand dark metal, it's like it's actually in the title. And
again, it's not like I agree with that stuff in real life. I'm not like,
not
oh man, this is what I'm all about. But in that time, in that space, and that, little bit of bubble I had, that's what came out.
And guys, you know what? I know it's kind of ambiguous the way I was speaking about the product, going back and forth with it. However, we actually have several people that listen to this podcast, that actually know which brands we're ahead of here.
Sure.
And we don't want to give away anything too early, so we kind of have to have that air of ambiguity there just for a little bit. But I think I think something that a lot of people kind of need to realize, that I know you've kind of perfected the craft of, is that like you don't need to question the flow of the work that you're doing in this time. You kind of just need to go with it, because if you start to question everything and kind of like second guess and step back, those ideas could turn out to be shit. I mean, let's just be blunt.
Yeah, it could. Oh, dude, and it's happened before. But most of the time, in that state, those ideas are the best ones, and those are the big wins. That's usually what they are.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, how many products would you say we've got out right now that have been results from that state of mind?
Right now that are currently going?
Yeah.
I'd say probably 80 to 90% at least. They come from not even thought out, not even thinking about what I'm going to do, right? Mm-hmm. It just happens. And in between that 4 to 6 hour span or whatever it may be, it just all happens right there.
So it's either, this is for personal knowledge. What about either of those top two pre-workouts?
The top two? Oh my God, yes.
Both of them?
Extremely.
100%.
Yeah, extremely. And you can tell by the titles. I mean, it's really, the first one that's been out, that was on my mind for a while. It just took me a long time to pull the trigger and not second guess that state, I guess.
Yeah.
And once I didn't second guess that state, man, we've really grown a lot.
That one product in itself just like slingshotted the brand forward.
Yeah. So I think anything to take from what I'm saying here is, don't be afraid to go to that place, but understand the limits of that place. You don't want to be in that forever. So, somebody that's grown up, maybe like I have, you're going to have those parts of your subconscious mind. So don't be, I guess, be scared of that, but don't be scared for a limited amount of time if you isolate yourself, because you could come up with something extremely creative that has never been thought of, but then you got to take action on it. If you don't take action on it, it's pointless.
Yeah. Like, what good are the ideas if you don't actually take them and use them?
Yeah.
And when you do come out of, this state and you're looking back at the ideas, don't shoot them down, because I know like you've even told me sometimes you'll look back and be like, well, these don't even make sense, but you run with them anyway, because in that moment in time, it was like damn near pure genius that was coming across with these ideas.
Yeah, I don't know if I call it that, but I know that is proven, right? That is proven. I've seen it, so I can't really question that state. That state of mind was the best state of mind to come out with certain things, and I'm saying that's why, we do so many different types of things. We do nutrition supplements, we do movies, we do book. I mean, I'm working on some, not books, not self-help books, but some stories. I mean, there's clothing, like everything we do has this little vibe to it, and it obviously, if you look at it, comes from a little bit of a darker place.
Yeah. So, how long would you say, like after you come out of it, do you instantly feel like any sort of like relief, or is there like a time period in which you kind of like, you start to feel the positive vibes again, or, when do you start to feel the positivity surround you after you've come out of that place? Is there like a time frame, or is it just kind of like an immediate relief once you've kind of like,
It's an immediate change of state, honestly. Like you're in this kind of state, and then immediately like it's gone, and then stuff doesn't make as much sense as it did.
Yeah.
So and I know, like, dude, like as I'm talking, this is gonna sound so bizarre to people, but like we said, we got to just speak the truth there.
Yeah.
So
no, this is all truth, man. And that's this podcast is for that. Like, this isn't like some scripted. Like I said, this isn't scripted. Dustin, you said it. This is 100% like none of this was ever thought up until literally we walked into the room. Like we walked in here and I was like, I mean, we went through 3 different ideas this morning before I was like, we're sitting down and talking about this. So this for you is kind of like off camber, and it's coming out of left field. So I mean, you're speaking your mind. Go for it. Like,
yeah. I mean, and I think too, it's something that other people might want to hear, because if you listen to most CEOs or creators or entrepreneurs, they only talk about positive. Well, the most part, yeah, we're going to talk about positive stuff, and this is kind of a positive at the end of the darkness, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So I want to actually bring this to people and say, look, I have these times too, and sometimes those are the best times to take advantage of situations.
Yeah. I mean, like, we have multiple podcasts where we preach about positivity. Hell, we have
every week.
We have an episode every week that's based around, the shot of positivity, the weekly espresso. If you guys haven't heard of it, check it out. And you know what? It's inevitable. The negativity is going to be there. The dark time is going to be there. You're not always going to have a positive light. It's not always going to be there. And a lot of people, I think, try to ignore that. So, this is for you guys. This is for the business owners. This is for the entrepreneurs. This is for even the family people that, you may have those negative times, but there can be a positive light in it. There can be. This is about a positive light. We are talking about the darkness, but there is a positive light here. So don't get it,
there's a very positive
don't get it
light,
mixed up.
man. Very positive light. Like I said, I'm a family guy. Like, I love my kids. I love my wife, but at the end of the day, in me, there is a little darkness there, and I have to go to that place sometimes. And I think for a lot of people listening, there's a lot of younger. And when I say younger kids, I'm 35, so it's like anybody 25 and under, we have a lot of listeners this age that have went through some tough times. So I think it's good for them to hear that there is some positive things that can come out of the darkness. You just cannot stay there for a long period of time. Don't immerse yourself in the darkness. Just use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Like, I know, for example, like you said, like with the younger crowd, the other day on your Twitter profile page, you'd asked about, like, what motivates you guys, or what is your daily motivator, that fuels you every single day. And I know there was one particular person who responded, and it was like, I have no motivators. I have no desire. And I looked back and I read that, and I was like, it's people like that
your desire is to have no desire. That's the problem.
You're one of the people that's too focused on the negative. You're one of the people that hasn't realized that you can come out of that place, or that you need to.
Yeah, that person is living in the negative. They're living in the darkness rather than kind of going and saying, hey, peekaboo to the darkness and take some stuff from that, and that's honestly, that sounds funny, but that was just the first thing that came to mind there. Peekaboo.
Can I please title this podcast Hey Peekaboo?
Peekaboo LeBleu. Like, that's terrible.
The Peekaboo LeBleu
but
podcast.
it is kind of true in a way. Like, you just kind of go there and take what you need and then move forward, because you can't, being in that dark place all the time is just unhealthy.
Oh, yeah.
But going there for a split period, man, it's okay.
Well, I mean, dude, look at it now. I mean, like, you can look out here and even in any, what do you want to call it? Any of the different business ventures, like you said, supplements, industries, there's what I'm looking for. Any of the industries, you can, like, clearly tell who has not come out of that state. You can see it from a mile away, or you can watch their company crumble because they went there and never came back.
Dude, look at a lot of musicians, man. If you look at a lot of musicians, actually one that comes to mind is Nirvana for me. Kurt Cobain would go in those places and he would stay there, Ultimately, what happened. But it's like, if you look at a lot of, like, brilliant musicians, they go to that dark place and they come out with this free flow state that's freaking, like, unbelievable. You're like, what the hell does this even mean? Then there's a real deep meaning to it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Except I'm not in that genre right now, but I'm not saying I won't be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't limit myself to anything. Like, I never go, hey, when I was 12, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. It just comes out, and, like, if that's what I'm interested in, that's what I'm interested in now, and it happens.
Yeah. For those of you that are, Dustin saying he's not aware, or he's not in that genre right now, and we are surrounded by music equipment. We are surrounded by music equipment. We've got a mixer. We've got the we've got the Rocket speakers. We got a MIDI. We've got the soundboards. We've got, dude, it's all right.
So I've dabbled in it, and I'm gonna do it eventually. But
we even talked about it at one point.
Yeah, we did, and it's just one of those things that it's gonna take that right state for me to get in to do it. But once I'm in that state, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
So you have to have confidence in that state as well.
Coming out, we're gonna have the next Kanye over here coming out with some fresh beats. Come on, man.
Trust me, I don't think you'll be seeing the. Now you'll see some fresh beats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
No.
But I mean, like you said, kind of relating that to music, and having that dark place, but it comes out with a positive meaning. A lot of people listen. Like, you'll walk into my office and people will immediately turn around and walk out because I listen to heavy metal. I am through and through. I listen to some really dark sounding music, but I don't know. I guess that's this podcast speaks to me in all honesty, because I operate from that music, and I use it in a positive way. And people are like, "How do you enjoy this? How do you actually like this music?" And it's just because when my mind is listening to that, I'm funneling it in a different direction than other people. People will hear that music and they'll think, "Oh my God, you're gonna go sacrifice children and a goat." And I'm like, "No, I'm actually just getting work done. I actually get positive vibes from this. It makes me work better."
Bro, and you're totally right, man. And what I do usually is I will turn on music. I'll put my headphones on and I'll just go. And a lot of times it is heavy metal. Sometimes it's crazy hard rap, or sometimes it's slowed down music with these bizarre lyrics that I would never do. But I just want to hear them at that time. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's not reality, but I'll go touch those places.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I was going to say, you and I were sharing, like you said, those, what is it called? Is it like binaural?
Oh, binaural beats, yeah.
Yeah, we were sharing artists, that kind of use that similar style. And we sat down one day and we were on lunch and just
different frequencies.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy how people can actually use this dark place. And it may not necessarily, I guess where I was getting at with that is it may not necessarily be, in a way that you're going to recognize it. For me, I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, I haven't really experienced this too much yet. And then I kind of thought about it. I was like, music, that's daily for me. But I
think you have. I think most people have experienced it, but I just don't know if they're aware of it. And that's the problem is
I wasn't aware at all.
Yeah, you wasn't aware. But like when you're in that place and you have the anger going on, you have the sadness going on. It's like a combination of all these negative things. You got to take the good from those, man. And I think that's what a lot of creatives have done. They've understood how to take those, really strange, what would you call that? Aura or whatever, like strange places that you get to, and then you bring the good out of it, even though it's somewhat subconscious,
Yeah.
You still, once you get out of it, you're like, it's almost like a relief. I'm out of this, but look what I got from this.
Yeah, maybe in you know what? That is a perfect way to word that, because I'll be working on, like, for example, some deliverables for one of the brands, and I'll get, in depth on this banner. I'll be listening to like some super heavy metal music, and by the end of it, I'll get the banner done, and I'm like, damn, this looks good. But then I'm like, holy cow, I'm tired of this type of music. And then I just turn it, and I'm on to something new.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, I actually got something good, and I got it done, and it was to that.
Well, and that's it too. Like, I listen to a wide variety of music. I like metal, I like rap, I like pretty much everything except pop. But I'm not gonna lie, I've caught myself, singing along to a pop tune.
You're not down for Bieber, Taylor Swift, T Swift.
Bieber. Here's the thing with Bieber. Like, he's actually gotten better, man. I got to give it to him. I can't sit there and hate on Bieber, because he's really done it. He's changed his whole style and everything, and
So some T Swift.
People are just tuning off right now. Like, the dude, like, I'm not saying I listen to Bieber. I'm just saying, would I and maybe find something good that he does? Yeah, I'm not going to discredit the guy, because look, man, like, a lot of people don't agree with what I do. But
yeah, at
the same time, they can't. If something comes out great, they can't deny it.
We'll go back and look at the statistics, and people are going to be tuning off at right around the 23-minute mark.
23 minutes. This guy just said something about Bieber done.
Yeah, I'm done. But I mean, you know what? You guys get the point. I mean, they're in the dark places. You will find positivity, and you need to use it. You need to pit it against yourself, and you need to bring those ideas out, because why let them stay?
Yeah, and I think everybody has ideas, man, in there. It's just knowing how to bring those things out, and knowing the places that you get to in life. That I just think some of the most down times in your life are some of the best times that you can just create this crazy amount of positivity consciously going forward, man. I just really feel it that way. And I just think a lot of kids, they just mull in it, man, rather than taking what they can get from it and moving on.
Yeah. And I mean, you know what? Let's maybe hit on that real quick. Like, what would be your advice to kind of, I guess, coming to acceptance that you've stayed there too long, and how to come out of it? I mean, I'm sure we can probably throw in some words here to kind of maybe help people, maybe 180 where they're at right now. Like, how, first off, is going to be recognition that you're in this state and you haven't left it.
Yeah, you have to be self-aware of that. You're, if you're just listening to heavy metal music and you're just in that dark space, you're obviously in the dark space. You're just kind of like there.
Yeah.
And you got to come away from that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like
or most of the time, actually.
Yeah, like Dustin, myself, I have a very diverse music taste thing. So I don't listen to just heavy metal. I mean, you walked in and it wasn't like some like
I have no clue what the hell you're listening
like
to. be honest with
vlog
you.
trap, something. Vlog trap music.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's kind of like, you know what, you need to first of all like recognize. I think it's recognition and acceptance that you guys are in this general dark area, and it's going to be hard for a lot of people to admit. I mean, I was there in high school.
It's hard for me to like talk about it. I mean, I know that I do these things, but it's like, you got to, I think it's self-awareness, that you can go to those places, but being self-aware that you can take some great things. But I think action's the word. Like if you're going to do those things and you're going to come up with some good ideas, just hiding them from everybody is not, it's not the way to go. And for God's sake, listen, if you're a serial killer and you're some weird mother freaker out there, I'm not saying take action on that. You need some help. Okay. But, like dark metal would be a brand that I have that obviously came from a very extremely dark place. Great example, right? People love that brand. Why do they love that brand, Austin? Because they can relate to that.
Yeah.
They can relate. Even though some people may hate it, they've probably been to that place.
Yeah. And you know what, guys, if you're constantly relating to it, then I think that's one of those kind of like learn to accept that you need to make a change type thing.
Exactly. Example, going to a movie theater, watching a horror movie, and realize like that is a movie, okay?
Yeah.
Once you get out of that movie, just because you watched it doesn't mean that a killing actually happened. You watched it. It was for entertainment. It might resonate with your mind, body, and soul, but when you leave that place, you're out of it. You're back to regular life.
Yeah. Like, I had to realize I wasn't chosen by the sea or the ocean to, like go save the earth. I'm talking about Moana here. Sorry, my son watches it. Like,
I heard that's good, man.
Dude, my son watches that movie every day. Sorry, thought I might have a humorous note there. So, no,
we all laughed inside. It was cool.
Yeah. That was a dad joke that shouldn't have happened.
Actually, I watched a thing in Hawaii. That was like, I think that wasn't Moana is like Hawaii or something. Mm-hmm. And it was like the Legend of Ha and all that stuff. I'm not gonna lie, that shit was boring, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out there.
But the movie might be good though. I don't know.
Yeah, but again, let's roll back. So to the people, to the younger generation that might be stuck in this area, and you're looking to become entrepreneurs, or you're looking to start your own business, or any of these types of things. You know what? Hell, even for just general life. So first off, is the acceptance and the realization you're stuck in this area. Like Dustin said, point two is going to be action. Get yourself out of here. Stop it. Like. We're not saying you can't use it temporarily. Like that was the whole point of this podcast. But first of all, you need to get out of here if you're stuck in it, because you're just throwing off negative vibes in general, and you're just probably taking your life downhill constantly.
And I would say to add to that point, like I was saying earlier, I get away from people. Don't be around people when you're in. If you feel like that state's coming, get away from people, isolate yourself. And that's what I do, because I know I can't affect anyone. What I'm writing down on paper, what I'm coming up with, what's in my head is going to go on paper and go into in my case, go into a brand or something like that, or a story. That's it. That's it.
And you know what, to kind of tie into that point, I'd say for, like number 3 is kind of like develop your, I guess, how would you say it? More or less like a routine for when it does happen to you, or you do get those vibes.
Understand when it's coming.
Yeah. Understand when it's coming and develop your routine for, the action that you're going to take during that time. Like you said, if you're going to get away from people, get away from them, get your notepad out, get your ideas down, make it happen. Don't stay in it. Don't keep in that recessed part of your mind. Get out of it. Stay at, 4 to 5 hours. That's your sweet spot. Hell, someone else maybe 30 minutes to an hour. Stay in it for that amount of time. Get your ideas down and get out of it, and go back to the positivity. And like you said, don't leave the ideas just sitting there. Take them with you.
Take them with you, man. And I think a lot of people, this is actually a really large topic. A lot of people will go get antidepressants or something like that, and they stay, and it's just like this, constant depression, man. Like, how many people do you know that's on antidepressants that are like really loving life? I just don't really know any, to be honest with you. And look, at the end of the day, guys, depression, it happens. It's a natural thing. Going into a dark place every now and then is okay. Just understand how you get away from that place and limit, not limit what you're doing, but limit it to what you're creating, or whatever the case may be that you need to take from that area. There's something to be taken from that to learn, and to actually help other people too.
Yeah. And don't mistake that place for, like you said, don't medicate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, there may be some people that, like, yes, I however you want to say, chemically, yes, what, you are imbalanced. Sure. And yes, we're not dogging people for, that need it for taking it, but we're saying for those of you that are, misinterpreting a few moments of darkness, don't go and medicate yourself with like like it's like bendos and all that type of stuff, because then you're just kind of, you're null. You're like
Yeah,
a nullified version of yourself that's literally existing and just drifting through the time. And that is like one of the worst things you can do, because at that point you're just kind of like, you're neither positive nor negative nor doing anything productive.
You're a zombie.
You're there.
You're a zombie.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, that actually what you just said there is like, how many zombies do we deal with on a daily basis, man? There's like so many people that are just walking around. They have no life goal. They have no ambition. There's nothing either negative or positive kind of. They're just like in this one little state that it's just it's like a flat line, man. There's nothing going on there.
Yeah. So you know what? Just realize that in that dark place, like I guess it's realize when you are there that what you can do with it. I guess like have that I hate to say realize the realization, because that's going to sound, it's literally like a double negative, but realize that in that moment in time that you can have positivity, that you can have that light, that you can bring out positive ideas, that you can bring out some of the best work that you've ever done. Hell, look at where we are now, and it's because it was some of those ideas from the dark place.
Mostly. And those dark places that I'll go to sometimes, they've brought out products, brands, businesses that have literally given over $1 million now to charities. So it's like, and helping people around us. So these are the good things I'm talking about that can happen when you understand what you're doing when you go to the dark place. You may not realize it when you're in the dark place, but you realize when you're going to it. Yep. Go to it for a little bit and come out, forget it, and just go. Just go.
Exactly. And you know what, guys? I think that's, I don't know. I think that's pretty much like a really good generalization for what we're trying to get across to you all. I mean, I don't want to sit here and, constantly preach and try to hammer it in over and over again, because that's not what we do.
I'm actually kind of proud of us doing this episode, because, like we said at the beginning, we came in with this real, what was it? Define yourself or something like that? Or?
Yeah. The original idea was define yourself. And then we jump back to, the fact that, we had a few ideas down, like motivators, like don't let your head get inflated. Then we landed on no one owes you anything. And then as soon as you were literally about to hit the record button, and I was like, wait. I said, wait, no. This ain't going to happen. We're going to go back to this, because I can tell right now, this is what's on your mind.
It was. And actually, it was a really good move, because if you look at most business coaches or motivators or whatever, they'll never tell you this stuff.
No.
They'll never tell you this stuff. But this is real life, guys. I mean, how many people have these places that they're going to, but they're just staying in them? Yeah. So I'm actually proud that we're talking about this, man. Like, this is good. This may not be something that most others will talk about it, but we will, So, man, I applaud you for pushing me to do this. I enjoyed it.
I think this ended up being one of our better podcasts in terms of like actual talking points. Now, a lot of people, hey, you know what? Some of you people may disagree. That's fine. And some of this may sound jumbled up to a lot of people. That's also fine.
Dude, I'm a jumbled up person, so that it should probably sound jumbled up.
I mean, if this seems like there's no cohesion or sequence to you people, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's just like, listen to it. But you know what? To wrap it up, let's leave it with, in that dark place, there is light. There is the positivity. Bring the ideas out. You know what? Find your motivators inside of that dark place.
Yeah.
I mean, So what have you got to say to end it out, man?
I mean, I think that was well said. Outside of the dark place, remember to love people, treat them right, do the right things. It's just that split little moment, man. Go to that place and really use it to your advantage.
And in that moment, make sure that you like this podcast. Make sure that you share this podcast. And if you aren't subscribed to this channel already, make sure that you subscribe as well. Keep in mind, we don't do this for any sort of profit. None of this none of this is monetized. This is all just for the benefit of you all as listeners. We're just here to, purely help and give advice from, the years of work that Dustin's put in. I mean, you guys have seen success. If you haven't heard the success story, go back and listen to podcast episode number 1 to find out where he came from, everything that he's built now. But aside from that, guys, I'm Austin.
I'm Dustin.
And we will catch you all next week.
Let's rock it.